Hi guys, I'm live. So I'm not here to talk about Darrell Hall and John, whatever his name is, Joe Walsh not showing up. So I got my chain gang. It's a big deal. What I want to talk about is scale theory. I have a thought about it I'd like to discuss, and that keeps it positive and doesn't give energy to people yanking my chain, which now that nobody came, they're going to have a harder time yanking my chain, because that's all I'm just going to say next. They didn't show up, so I'm just being pranked, and I know that now, so there's that. So anyway, about scale theory, I want to talk about something. There's two main approaches to scales that I can see. First, I want to say my big motto that I'm going with is Charlie Parker's motto. He said to learn theory, then forget it, then just play. I'm close to doing that, I have a feeling, but I don't know it well enough quite yet to totally forget it, but I'm working on it. I'm very close, I think, and then I can just play and not even think about theory again. I'm getting closer to that, I have a feeling. And secondly, I'd like to discuss the particulars of my thought on that. Scales. There's two main systems in my book that both have validity. But I'm surprised at myself at the validity of one of them that I hadn't always thought of much, but I should, and I'm starting to think of it more. So I'm going to mention the two and what they are. First, there's a standard approach that I've been touting. You have the harmonic minor scale, which is an alien mode with a raised seventh, and then you have the melodic minor scale which is a Dorian mode with a raised seventh, and then you've got the major scale, which is a pure scale, starting on major scale, and then there's harmonic major scale, which is a major scale with a flatted sixth. And of course, harmonic major with a raised third is a harmonic minor with a raised third is a harmonic major with a flat third is harmonic minor, and all that. And that's good, and that's a good way to do it too. But there's also the whole Alan Holdsworth way. And that's the way that's starting to creep up into my thinking, is what I might actually start using, and probably may still use when I forget theory and just play. So I'd like to discuss his version of it, and then let the video go, and then everybody can, nobody showed up, but let's just talk about this. Alan Holdsworth talked about his 10 most useful scales, and that really was a euphemism for four scales, because the first four are actually, in their own right, good original scales. The second four were just jazz scales. That means he just adds an eighth note. And that may work for him, but it doesn't mean much to me. It just means that he's playing too many notes, and I don't understand why he added those and not others, and why it sounds good and it may not sound good, and all that. And then the last two scales of the 10 were symmetrical. One is diminished scale, and one is one of the Machon modes type of thing, where you have 3 augmented triads in chromatic succession to make up a scale that has 9 notes. You can think of it as half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step type of thing. And that's just a symmetrical thing, and nothing special there. But what was great was his first 4 scales and the way he used them and thought of them, and I'd like to discuss that, okay? So he thought of everything based on D. If you're in the white keys, he didn't think of it as C major. He thought of it as D minor, but not D natural minor, D Dorian, but he didn't call it Dorian, he called it minor. But we can call it Dorian, but he didn't. So maybe I'll call it Dorian, but yet use his approach. So he based everything on D Dorian. And then that was his first scale, this D Dorian. D Dorian yields a minor 7th arpeggio from the root. So that's his first scale. The next three are altered versions of that make up the actual four scales that we talk about in standard music theory, which is harmonic minor, harmonic major, melodic minor, and major. But he doesn't base it on the way that I usually present it and is usually presented. He bases it all on D and alterations thereof, and I'm beginning to like this idea. So one of the scales, I'll call it the second scale, is a Dorian with a raised 7. That would be, if you're in white keys, that would be D, E, F, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And that's just D melodic minor scale. Note that it has a minor major 7 arpeggio. It has a D, F, A, C sharp, which actually has an augmented triad. It's the F, A, C sharp is an F augmented triad, and the D's at the bottom. So it has a D minor major 7 a chord for its at its root. Interval E, it's also minor third, major third, major third. And that's very cool. And then the next scale, I'll call third scale, is a D minor. A D Dorian with a raised 7 and a flat 6. Well, that's just what we would normally call a harmonic minor scale. So it's interval. It would be spelled D, E, F, G, A flat. Wait, that's not right. D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C sharp, D. So there's that scale. And note that scale also has a minor major 7 chord at its root, which is minor third, major third, major third. And spelling wise would be D, F, A, and C sharp. Just like I did in the other example, only this time it has a flat 6, making it more like a harmonic minor scale instead of melodic minor scale like the second scale was. And now the fourth scale finally is a Dorian with a raised 7th and a raised 4th. Now this would represent the harmonic major scale, only it's not quite rooted the same way. This D, E, F, G sharp, B, C sharp, D. So and again, it has note that it has a minor major 7 arpeggio again D, F, A, C sharp, and but this time the raised 4, which is G. If you're starting in D, would be G sharp. The raised 4 basically makes it makes it a Lydian minor or scale. You could call it. You could call that a Lydian minor because Lydian is D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D. Only this would have F instead of F sharp. So now it's a minor. It has a minor third, so it's a Lydian minor. And since Lydian is a 4th mode of major scale, a Lydian minor would be a major scale with a flatted 6, which is by definition a harmonic major scale. So all the numbers fit, it all works, and so you represent the 4 scales that are traditionally major scale, harmonic major scale, melodic minor scale, harmonic minor scale, all starting on one root note, D, or one mode Dorian, depending on how you look at that, and just involving alterations, which is very cool. I like all the other 3 have a minor major 7 arpeggio at the root, and I think that's intriguing. I think it's very uniform, which I like because it's on D, and 3 of them have the same 7th chord at the root. Only the first one has a slightly different one. So that it's more uniform in the normal way with all the C major scale, C harmonic major scale, A harmonic minor scale, D, melodic minor scale, maybe C melodic minor scale, and so forth. Hey, oh, love you. Love you. So I'm beginning to like Alan Holdsworth's approach more and more. In fact, I may start using it next time I pick up a guitar. I think it's a very cool approach. And I want to just comment on a few things I think about the scales as he had them. And remember, he is the guitar idol of Eddie Van Halen. So the greatest electric guitarist probably that ever walked the earth, Alan Holdsworth. I think second is Jimi Hendrix and third is Eddie Van Halen, but that's just me. But I think it's interesting that only the Dorian mode / natural scale does not have an augmented triad in it. I think that's interesting. The melodic minor scale has an augmented triad, and this is 7 scale, which has, like I said, the harmonic minor scale has an augmented triad, which is represented by Holdsworth's Dorian sharp 7 with a flat 6, which has an augmented triad. And finally, the harmonic major scale has an augmented triad, and this is represented by the Holdsworth's Dorian sharp 7 sharp 4 scale, which also has an augmented triad in it. And like I was saying, whereas only the natural scale of all the 4 scales does not have an augmented triad. All the other 3, which in standard music theory are melodic minor, harmonic minor, and harmonic major. And that's not only fascinating, but with Holdsworth's approach, all those augmented triads are on the same point in the scale because he bases it all in D. So all the augmented triads happen on the minor third of the scale. So they're all uniform in position, and they're all spread out and easily showing the augmented triad. They almost feature the augmented triad, you might say, except the one that does not have an augmented triad, which is featured as not having one. So I think that's interesting. I love the way Holdsworth laid that out. Interestingly, I talked to Holdsworth 20 minutes in 1997 or 98 about scale theory, and he listened to me. He actually listened to me talk for 20 minutes and gave me some feedback and listened to me. And now what is that? 30 I don't know what, 38 years later? No, 28 years later. I'm going back to him in my own theory, so I think that's cool. And augmented triads have a very unique sound. It's the only symmetrical triad. It's a triad that it has all the same intervals: major third, major third, major third. It's like the only symmetrical 7th chord is the diminished 7th chord: minor third, minor third, minor third, minor third. The only symmetrical 5th, or for that matter, interval is the tritone, because tritone make up an octave. I think that's all cool, and I think I'm going to start using Holdsworth's system in my own playing. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I really want to get to the point, and I think I'm closer to it, where I just learn theory, then forget it, then just play. I'm really itching to just forget about theory. I'm just not quite there yet. I haven't quite learned enough of it, or learned it deeply enough to just say forget it to myself. But I'm getting closer, and I think I'm getting closer, and I think this video shows some progress and kind of documents my progress. Love you guys. Peace, love, progress.